SFLC
Podcast.
I saw the latest UFC rankings. You're now number 11 in the division. We'll get more into that and what that means in a second. But heading into the fight and even afterwards, jumping on Twitter, people obviously respect what you bring to the table. They all think that you are a hell of a talent, hell of a fighter, but some of these folks just don't like you, man. I mean, I've seen people say something to the effect of Kevin Lee might be the most hated fighter in the UFC. And in fighting, that's not really a bad thing. But do you feel that hatred amongst the fans? Do you feel like you're hated? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm pretty close to up there. I mean, there's a couple other guys that get a lot of hate. But, I think people even follow me more than, like, my actual follower account. You know what I mean? Because people don't like me so much that they're like, fuck, I ain't following this motherfucker. but they actually do read a lot of my shit and actually look at a lot of my pictures and shit. But just out of pure spite, So I'm happy with it. Like I said, I flipped off the Brazilian crowd in Fort Elise, one of the most that's top 10 most dangerous cities in the world. And it was about 5,000-6,000 of them that I flipped off in there, and which actually cost me $50,000 because I'm pretty sure that's why the UFC did give me that $50,000 bonus. So that was a $50,000 middle finger just to rile up the crowd. And I'm just happy as long as they're having a good time. If they're having a good time, everybody was on their feet. It felt like a main event fight going into it because the people were behind it, and that's all I really care about. When I fight Khabib, I would rather fight Khabib in Russia more than anything, as long as they don't actually physically kill me and drag my head down the down the street on the back of their Cadillacs or whatever the fuck Russians drive these days. I just got to stay away from the vodka while I'm out there. But if I'm fighting Khabib, I'd rather fight in Russia because the people are behind it. Whether they love me, hate me, whatever. As long as they're behind it, I like it.
You said that middle finger could have probably cost you $50,000. Did the UFC say anything to you after that?
I got a call from PR, but no, not. They didn't say. They obviously won't tell me that directly, but I mean, I think everybody knows. I should have got the bonus that night over Pretty Boy that got it, that fed him a fish.
So, kind of going back to the hatred thing, I was talking with Corey Anderson last week, and he's main event in the card in London this weekend with Jimmy Manuwa, and people have been very critical, not really of him and Jimmy, because they obviously have no control over, but booking the fight as the main event, and I asked him how he felt about that, and his response was, listen, the more people mention my name, whether it be good, bad, ugly, it doesn't matter. Every time my name is mentioned, my brand enhances. Do you agree with that statement, or do you look at it a little bit differently?
Yeah, there's no better... Yeah, no press is bad press, Yeah, for sure. I've even looked up to guys and people talk about this as far as promoting black fighters, right? And there's certain ways to make money in this game, and the best promoters are the guys that are versatile. They get some people to love them, they get some people to hate them. When I look at a guy like Floyd, I look up to him because he's a master promoter. He got his money through getting the Mexicans to hate him. That's really how he got it. He only appeals to the hip hop market in the black community, but originally got his money through getting the Mexicans to dislike him when he fought Oscar De La Hoya, because you have the golden boy versus the bad guy, and sometimes you got to be the bad guy, sometimes you get to be the good guy. You have to you have to manage that. That goes into being a well-rounded fighter just as much as being able to punch, kick, and take a guy down.
Do you think, Tyron Woodley's been very vocal about the promotion of black fighters and himself personally. Do you feel like there's a problem with UFC, or do you think it's kind of on each individual fighter to get themselves over?
The UFC is a business, and they're one of the best promoters. I can't think of a better promoter, to be honest. They promoted the UFC brand above all. The UFC is going to go where the money goes, you know what I mean? So for them, can see why they haven't jumped full force into the black market, because they haven't seen that return yet, They aren't going to play around. If they see a return, then they're going to jump all in. It is very hard to promote black fighters, it just always has been. But I don't necessarily see it as the UFC is oh, we aren't going to promote them because we don't like them. No, they don't do it because the money's not there yet, you need somebody to show that it can be done, and that it's a good market, and it can bring money back, because that's all they care about. They don't care about black, white, none of that. They care about the green. So if the green's there, they're gonna do it.
Fair enough. Makes a lot of sense. Like we said, you're now number 11 in the division. With the run you have had, I probably would have put you up there a little bit earlier. But do you look at the rankings? Are they important to you at all?
No, not really. I mean, they important as far as like, getting the next fight maybe, but not even then, because I mean, you got guys fighting unranked guys, and it's just the rankings don't really mean much of nothing. I don't even think fans pay attention to it. It's another nice little promotional tool to be able to promote yourself and say this and that, but it doesn't mean much of nothing.
So I want to ask you this, kind of tying into that, because look, the UFC lightweight division is very interesting. The champion, Conor McGregor, looks like if the egos can stay intact, he's going to get this fight with Mayweather done. So now you look at the rest of the division and the meritocracy behind it. I mean, I know you mentioned fighting Khabib. You mentioned fighting Gilbert Melendez as well. And here's what we've seen in just like the past week or two. Tony Ferguson lost the fight with Khabib. Michael Chiesa was scheduled to fight Tony back in July. Chiesa got injured. Now he wants the fight with Ferguson again. Ferguson says thanks, but no thanks. And then Ferguson said, I want Nate Diaz. Eddie Alvarez got offered Michael Chiesa, Dustin Poirier. Even though Chiesa is ranked higher than Poirier, Alvarez is now fighting Dustin Poirier. And Nate Diaz hasn't accepted any fights with anybody, probably waiting for a third fight with Conor. It's just a whirlwind of craziness. And Melendez makes sense. He's a name. He wants to get back up there in the rankings, and I get it. But as far as getting the upper echelon guys, with all of them seemingly looking for money fights and name value, do you think you're going to have a hard time booking these top 10, top 5 fights in the future, considering this trend that's happening in the UFC right now? Oh, yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's a shame, but it is a necessary part of growth, you know what I mean? Especially for guys like Tony, it's certain guys that I'll give my respect to and certain guys I won't at all, A dude like Khabib, I don't give him much respect, because he's kind of holding on to that without really putting it on the line. He wants easy fights. He wants fights that he's more stacked to win than lose. To me, that's not really what it's about. I'm more so on the Max Holloway deal. I think Max said it the best for all of us. Like all these motherfuckers like getting on their knees and like begging like McGregor to fight him, and it just doesn't make sense to me. McGregor's he's approached the game in the right way. I ain't gonna take nothing away from him. Like, I'm not shit. I'd probably do the same thing. Of course I'd fight Floyd in a fight that I know I'm gonna lose for a lot of money. Of course I would. The rest of these dudes like begging for him to fight. Like, no, just go out there and make your own money, make your own fight happen. We'll make this fight with Khabib, because that's the best fight for me right now. I won't look past it. So. I mean, it might be hard to, especially with a guy like Khabib, man, because he's gonna try and weasel his way up out of the fight at any chance. So, yeah, it's gonna be hard to book some of these dudes. But I'm just good at stirring up the pot. I think I can pick a fight with the best of them. I talked to a lot of fighters in this division about Conor going to fight Floyd Mayweather. Does it bother you as a lightweight in the UFC that the champion may not defend his title at all this year and maybe kind of holding up the division? Or do you see this as an opportunity for you to make some waves in his absence? No, he's doing his thing. Go ahead and do your thing. I'm going to be, Floyd's management reached out to me, a couple months ago and asked me to be a part of his training camp if the fight does happen. So it looks like it's going to happen. I'm waiting to hear. He probably will take a few weeks to get into shape before we start doing any type of sparring or anything like that. But, that's going to put some change in my pocket. So, hey, make the fight happen. I could use some extra, Floyd pays, a couple grand a sparring session. So, shit, I'm all for the fight to happen. If they need me to sign the line, I'll go and Don King it, step in between. Only in America they can make it happen. So I'm pushing for the fight to happen. I want it to. So he's doing his thing, and I can't blame him, because, like I said, I would do the same thing if I was in this position. Why fight Tony when Tony stands a realistic chance of beating you, and even if you do beat him, you in for a hell of a fight versus Tony. You in for some bad nights. At least with Mayweather won't really knock him out. Mayweather might embarrass him, but we all know he's going to get embarrassed anyway. He knows he's going to get embarrassed. So,
why not do that?
But he'll dry his tears with $100 bills, I'm sure.
Exactly.
He'll let the wind blow in his face.
And I ain't gonna lie, I will take my hat off to the man. He played the game right. That's what the game is about. Make the most amount of money and in the best you can. And other guys are doing it too. And other guys are doing it and the Diaz brothers, I got to give it to them. They have promoted themselves like a motherfucker because they fans will stay on that these guys are real fighters and this and that. And they barely ever fight, Nick hasn't won a fight since Strikeforce. I mean, has he won a fight in the UFC? I don't even think he's got a UFC win. And I mean, people are all on him like he's a top 5 fighter. I mean, it's the same with Khabib. Khabib's only fought 3 times in the last however many years, and he's only fought 2 world-class fighters. And people got him coming like he's the next coming to Jesus without any fights. I don't understand, but these guys do a good job of promoting themselves.
Nick Diaz beat BJ Penn, didn't he?
Yeah, but I mean, we talking about a dude that was at 45 now, against somebody that fought at 185. So I mean,
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
He really going, and he had trouble with him too. I mean, BJ won that first round. Or was it the third round? It was the first round. BJ won that first round. He just got tired because Nick's the bigger dude leaning on him. I mean, I don't see how his fans. I mean, it's fans love him. I guess that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah, the absence makes the heart grow fonder, that's for sure. And obviously Nate's rise has made Nick even more popular, which is crazy. But you said something really interesting, that Floyd's team reached out to you to spar with him in preparation for Conor. So let me ask you this. You may have a little bit more of an inside scoop here, and I'm not going to ask you if you know anything about the fight being booked or not, but when was the last time Floyd's team reached out to you?
This was, November? Right after my fight with Magomed. So it's been a couple months, but we talk. Dewey Cooper, who is my head trainer, he's been training guys at Mayweather's gym since 1997, since Floyd was an amateur. So he knows everyone really well. Every time I go there and they see me move around, and they, I've been doing a lot of southpaw lately too. They first approached me years ago. I want to say like over a year ago. With it, and then they just came back in November because they said the fight was going to happen in June, back in November. So, I mean, I guess that's kind of the timetable that they've been on to make the fight happen. He said he's going to start training camp soon. I mean, he probably needs a couple weeks to get into shape before we start moving around, but it should be good.
What about you? When are you looking to get back in there? Were there any? I know you got punched in the eyeball, but were there any injuries, anything concerning coming out of your victory in Brazil over the weekend?
I am 100%. That's the only thing. I go see the eye doctor on Tuesday. I have had to have surgery on this eye twice already, so we will see if I need to, but I should be fine. I don't know. I guess I got to go through I got to see the doc first, but I mean, I'm looking to get back in there in July. When the UFC comes to Las Vegas, they always throw the big cards here in July, 4th of July weekend. We'll make it happen. And like I said, I'm going to bring the UFC to Detroit this year. That's one of my main goals. And we'll make it happen. We'll see who pans out. Maybe we end up with Khabib in Detroit. You never know.
So Khabib's number 1, Melendez we mentioned as well. Is there anybody else that sticks out to you, or are those kind of 1A and 1B there?
Like I said, somebody like Chiesa. I kind of like that fight. I know Alvarez is fighting Poirier. I kind of like that. It depends on how that one shake up too. You know what I'm saying? Chiesa sounds decent if they don't make if I can't make the Khabib fight happen.
That's a good fight. A couple more things before I let you go. The year is obviously young. You fought 3 times last year, 3 times the year before. Things are going very well for you. What kinds of aspirations and goals have you kind of set for yourself in 2017? Like, 2017 will be great for me if these things happen.
By the end of the year, I'll be going into a number 1 contender fight. That's already the goal and the vision. Like I said, I try and set out my year every year. I'm going to fight in July. I'll fight in December, and then like I said, right now it's up in the air because you don't know what's going on with Conor and the belt, and I'm not really even chasing the belt, I'm just chasing those top fights. That's it. So, as far as chasing the belt, I mean, the belt is just a promotional tool, just like anything, Conor's got 1 fight in this division, and he's holding the belt. like he's the champ. You know, he's not the champ. We all know that. The real champ was going to be the winner of Khabib and Tony, and I got to give it to Tony right now. You know, Tony's the man to go after. So, you know, I'm not even chasing the belt, to be honest.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you this before we let you go. Your old friend Al Iaquinta's coming back. He's fighting Diego Sanchez next month. How do you see that one playing out? And considering
I have heard those things.
Considering your rise up the ranks now, do you still want to get that one back in a perfect world if the stars align, or are you kind of putting that one behind you?
No, we got to get that one back. Regardless, we got to get it back. Me and him been going back and forth for years now. It's enough of that shit. When they asked him who he wanted to fight, you know, he didn't throw my name in the hat at all. But, you know, every time we go back and forth, he's bullshitting, talking about he want to fight. But from what I've heard, he picked Diego to fight, which makes sense. You know, Diego's an easy win. He knows I'll stump him. It depends on how he looks in that fight and how he comes back. And if so, then we can get it on in Detroit. You know, last time I fought him in New Jersey. So, you know, he'll come to my hometown this time, you know. So we'll see. We'll see what's going on. You know, that'll actually be a good headliner, you know, if he can pick up a W here or there and get his name back out there. You know, me versus him in Detroit sounds good to me.
Oh, the build-up for that would be just terrific.
It's going to be amazing. Oh, man.
Oh, man.
He like to drink, too. So, and I like to egg motherfuckers on when they drunk. So, it's been a couple of times. Me and him been going back and forth on Twitter, and that dude he's drunk off his ass. So, and I don't back down at all. So he might show us, you know, he might Michael Bisping and show us to a press conference drunk. And I'm not going to do the George thing. I'm going to play up to it. I might have a few myself.
You'll pour him a couple and hand him right over to him on the other side of the table.
Exactly. Let's make some money here. What are we doing?
There you go. Kevin, congratulations on the win, man. Very impressive stuff. Trinaldo, a very tough, durable guy. You got the finish. You got the win. You're in the top 15, and we look forward to seeing you back in the octagon, whether against Melendez or Iaquinta or Michael Chiesa or Khabib, whoever they throw your way. Continued success. Great to have you on the show for the first time. Thank you again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Happy to be here, too.
Wow, how about that? Kevin Lee, the Motown phenom. Wow, a lot of interesting stuff in that conversation. I've been trying to get him on the show for so long, and finally got some help from the great James Lynch, and we made it happen. And we were supposed to be on last night, but it was his mom's birthday, and you gotta understand that. I would have done the same thing. So thank you to Kevin Lee for coming on the show, and congratulations on the big win. And we look forward to seeing what is next for him. I mean, my God, he's on a tear right now. Finally into the top 15. I thought he should have been there heading into the Trinaldo fight, but definitely after that win, certainly deserves to be in the top 15. All right, everybody, that is it. Thanks for having us on this week. Sorry about kind of the lack of content. We had some different things happen. A blizzard really affected us in a lot of ways. One, it cost us a show. Two, it actually cost us another show because I recorded Joe Soto yesterday talking about his win in Brazil over the weekend over Hanny Yaya. And because of the remnants of this damn blizzard, we had a little bit of a power outage. I came back to put everything together and had a little note on the console here saying we lost power, check your files, and that file was gone. So I'd reached out to Joe and apologized, and we're going to set up an interview in a different kind of way so we don't have to go through it again because I don't want to do that again. Neither does he. You know, it's great the first time. It's hard to mimic what you did, and it was great stuff. So we're going to do something a little bit differently, and we'll turn it into an article on fansided.com, and we'll do some fun stuff there. But thank you to Kevin Lee. Wonderboy Thompson's going to be on next week. I'm not sure if he's done any interviews since losing to Tyron Woodley at UFC 209, but we'll talk to him and see where his head's at and where he's going to be heading coming off of that very close loss to Tyron Woodley. My name is Mike Heck. Enjoy your St. Paddy's Day weekend. Make sure you rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. That stuff helps us out a lot. Thank you very much if you've already done so. Same with Stitcher. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at SFLC Podcast. And on Facebook, just search SFLC Podcast. You will find us. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next week.